Hi skiers, I'm Jeff from SkiEssentials.com. Welcome to our Top 5 Fridays ski industry news videos. Before we get into the news, check out these skis next to me. K2 did a collaboration with Jeff McFetridge, the artist. Really, really cool. These just arrived a couple days ago, so I thought we'd kind of show them off because it's pretty cool. This is a limited edition Reckoner 112, which is a super fun ski. And yeah, it's really, really cool graphic. This sweatshirt is also kind of part of the collaboration. So always really cool to see that. I think, K2 being a United States-based company, really cool to see them doing some collaborations like this. So yeah, just thought we'd show them off a little bit. And then next, before we get into the news, if you haven't seen already, the January month of our Ski Happy contest has begun. Nordica is the sponsor this month. They're giving away a pair of Enforcer 88s, which we talked about yesterday on Chairlift Chat and here on YouTube as well. So check that out if you haven't already. Enter some photos in Ski Happy. You could win some Enforcer 88s. And with that, let's get straight into the news. So we'll start with some FIS Alpine World Cup updates. Mikaela Shiffrin back on top. Really cool to see. She skied phenomenally. But yeah, Mikaela took the top spot in the most recent slalom race in Austria, won by 0.19 seconds, so pretty close racing. Mikaela even said that she thought it was some of the best slalom skiing she had ever done in a race run. So I think it's fair to say that seems like Mikaela Shiffrin's back. A few weeks ago, or even like a month ago or so, we were kind of speculating like maybe it'll take her the full year to get back to her top form. But just given how well she's been skiing recently, it seems like she's pretty darn close to being back, if not already. And this win actually marked some pretty significant milestones for her. So that was her 68th World Cup win. She is now the sole occupier of third on the all-time list, behind, of course, Stenmark at 86 and then Lindsey Vonn at 82. It was also her 44th ever slalom win, which is the most ever career wins by a woman in a specific discipline. And gosh, you can only assume that there are going to be many, many more slalom wins to come for Mikaela. And yeah, I think those 86 and 82 total career wins, it's getting closer and closer. So I think the next few seasons are going to be really interesting to see what happens just with that kind of race to that record. It's going to be pretty cool to see. In other news, same race, Paula Moltzen, great skiing, picked up a career best 9th. Really cool to see her in the top 10. And then AJ Hurt picked up a 29th, which were her first ever career slalom points. So really good skiing on the women's side of things. And then Breezy Johnson also took home a 3rd in the downhill race in St. Anton. So yeah, just impressive skiing from the U.S. women's team, as there has been for a while now. So really cool to see. And yeah, I'm excited for the rest of the ski season. A couple men's races this coming week, so should be fun to keep an eye on that. And then in other ski racing news, and we actually had a couple comments on the last video that were like, I can't believe you guys aren't covering this. Brief backstory: I was a Nordic ski racer for like 8 years of my life, so I actually pay pretty darn close attention to this stuff. And Jessie Diggins was the first ever American to win the Tour de Ski, which is like an outrageously impressive accomplishment. It's a 10-day event, 10-day, 8-stage event. It's kind of like modeled after the Tour de France. It's never been won by an American, male or female. Like realistically, we never even really come that close. And beyond that, Jessie and Rosie Brennan finished 1 and 2 in 2 different stages, which was also a first for any Americans. So that's really cool for me to see. It's pretty much been like 20, not quite 20 years since I was a pretty competitive, really focused Nordic ski racer. And back then, there really wasn't like great representation at the World Cup level or at the highest level of skiing for the United States. It's really cool to see how far the United States has come in Nordic ski racing over the past decade and really in recent years specifically. Big thanks to Jesse Diggins, as well as a lot of other skiers that are skiing really well too. But Jesse's pretty much been there at the forefront of that push for a few years now. So just really cool to see. Really cool to see the United States kind of making a name for themselves on the Nordic side. It's been historically dominated by Norway and Sweden, Scandinavian countries in general, and Europe in general. So pretty cool. Go USA, go Jesse Diggins. I also think in similar ways to Michaela Schifrin, Jesse Diggins is just a great person. Every time I see her in the spotlight, she's very well spoken and seems like a very caring, genuine person. So really good to see. And then third topic of the week, we do have some COVID updates. First one is out of Aspen area. So Pitkin County had a pretty big spike in cases to 3,046 as of last Friday, so about a week ago. And that equates to about 1 in 35 residents. So basically in response to that, the county's Board of Health, they held a meeting and held a vote on basically what to do in reaction to that. One of the things that they were voting on was shutting down ski areas. Now, thankfully for ski resorts, that didn't happen. Basically what they decided on is they moved to level red restrictions, which means that ski resorts can still operate, and they just kind of increased restrictions on lodges and restaurants. And they made last call, which I assume applies to restaurants, 8 p.m. So nothing crazy there for restrictions. I think that's like we were going to get some situations like this. So it'll be interesting to see how that all pans out. And to anybody out in the Aspen or Pitkin County area, hope you're all staying safe and healthy as possible. And then in Ontario, a shutdown that started on December 26th has been extended another 28 days, which is kind of causing some controversy. As you might imagine, there's, back and forth between health officials and ski resort managers, as there has been in a number of different industries or in the world in general. The constant kind of back and forth between economic struggles and health struggles. That is definitely going on in Ontario right now. And basically ski area operators are actively gathering signatures in an effort to show local officials that there's a lot of local support for reopening ski areas. Now, the effectiveness of gathering these signatures is yet to be seen. We'll see. Thankfully, it feels like things have gone pretty smoothly here in northern Vermont so far. As far as I know, there aren't any major spikes in cases or outbreaks that have been traced back to ski areas. So for skiers in the Ontario area, for your sake, I do hope that there can be a resolution to this and people can get back on snow this season, because it would be definitely a bummer if that just kind of ended the season there. But it's one of those things that it is what it is. And if that's what they have to do, if that's the decision to keep everyone as safe as possible, I think it's important to respect that. But I also think like what these ski area operators are doing is perfectly fine too. If people want to get together and say like, no, we don't necessarily think this is the best thing to do, I think those are healthy conversations to be had at least. We'll keep an eye on that as we have been. And then this is kind of another COVID-esque topic for our fourth topic of the week. Vermont and New Hampshire both are including ski patrollers in the initial round of COVID vaccinations. So, ski patrollers up at Stowe are heading to get vaccinated. I think probably some already have been already. And as is the case with anything like this, it's caused a little bit of controversy. Teachers in particular were pretty quick to voice their disapproval, kind of saying like this is this isn't a mandatory position, but if ski areas are going to be open, then ski patrollers really are kind of frontline healthcare workers. There is a perfectly reasonable chance that they will have to respond to a situation where they might not have the necessary PPE and might get exposed. So pretty understandable from both sides of the argument. I think ultimately what's causing most of the controversy, gosh, I'm having trouble with that one today, is there's a bit of undercut suspicion that decision was made more based on the economic value of ski areas and not necessarily based on what's going to keep the population as safe as possible. I think that's pure speculation. Like I said, I mean, to me, they're frontline healthcare workers. It's very, very different, but to me, it's the same as like if a first responder or an ambulance worker, like an EMT, like those, a ski patroller and an EMT are very similar positions. So I don't think it's outrageous for them to be getting vaccinated. I personally have been in multiple situations where I've been injured and very close to a ski patroller. And like in some of those situations, there's no way that you would have the like, even if it was happening, even if it happened this season and we were all wearing masks and stuff like that, there's no way that we wouldn't be exposed to each other. So, I mean, I think it's important to keep people as safe as possible, and ski patrollers are certainly putting themselves at risk. So let's get them vaccinated. It makes sense to me. Let us know in the comments if you have your own opinion on it. Like I said at the beginning, I think it's understandable from both sides. So that will be one to watch as well, although probably not as much development to happen there. And then finally, we have our edits of the week. First one is, it's an edit that was put together by X Games. It's called Being Colby Stevenson. It's about 10 minutes long. I have mentioned Colby Stevenson multiple times since we started doing these Top 5 Fridays videos. He is a phenomenal skier, in my opinion, like pretty much the best park skier in the world, and probably at least should have his name in the conversation of like best skier in the world. I'm sure people would argue with me with that, but really strong skier. Not only is he really good in the park, I think he's just an all-around very strong skier. And yeah, this is about 10 minutes long and really tells his story, which if you don't know his story, involves a pretty serious traumatic injury. Was in a really serious car accident. So really pretty inspiring to watch his story. And in this past year, he was right back on top. Really for the first time. They kind of, in this edit, they go through, he in about 2017, he was feeling like he was top of the world and then really was in a tough spot. And yeah, now he's back to full strength and skiing really, really well. So definitely encourage you to watch that. Second edit of the week is some highlights from the 2020 Kings and Queens of Corbett's competition. Always fantastic to watch that back. I watched the whole thing in its entirety last year, but even for me, it was really fun to kind of relive it through the highlights. And then the third edit of the week is not so much an edit, it's just an Instagram post, but Lindsey Vonn posted just a really short video of her hitting some park jumps, and I thought it was great. As a park skier, that's fun to see. And a few weeks ago or maybe a month ago, there was like an interview with Lindsey Vonn. I can't remember exactly the situation, but she said something like she wasn't really very excited about skiing, or like she wasn't thrilled about she wasn't putting much focus on going skiing. And she just looks like she's having so much fun. in this quick little Instagram video. And then she even tagged people like Yoon Olsen and Gus Kenworthy, and they started chiming in, and there seemed to be like some real excitement there. Like Head said that they were going to send her a pair of Kors or Caddy skis. So I just thought that was really cool. And then recently, just in the past couple days, we've seen some footage of her skiing around with Peekaboo Street too. So Lindsey Vonn might not be on the World Cup circuit anymore, but I'm really glad that she's feeling like she still has a place in the ski world, because it'd be a real bummer if she kind of just went away from skiing. So that's it. That's Top 5 Fridays for this week. Check out these cool skis from K2. If you head on over to K2's social media and stuff like that, they have some more stuff about this. So pretty happy that we were able to display them here. We actually were on snow with K2 this morning, testing a bunch of 2022 skis. They have some exciting new stuff for next year. Not a ton of new things, but there are some couple new models that I think are pretty valuable. So we'll be sharing that info when we can, and we will see you guys out there on the slopes.